As someone who has applied to some ungodly number of jobs, I'd say at least a 3 digit number of them per year, I've noticed that most of them tend to have a pretty similar structure in terms of, listing the requirements for you to be considered for this position, what types of things you'll need before you start, if you're even going to be picked. But some of these places want things that really don't make any sense to me. So I've had jobs, for example, that not had them as in worked for them, but just ones where I applied, uh, where it was for some kind of position where you help kids who have, mental issues, and they wanted to see my high school diploma, which I thought was so weird because most positions I apply for, they kind of just take your word for it that you graduated from high school. If they don't believe you, they can always call up the school, verify that you attended there and graduated from there. I don't just carry around my high school diploma, years and years after the fact, just with me. I have to like go through a whole process of getting that thing if it's even still around. So that always had me kind of rolling my eyes because they can't take your word for it like everywhere else would. There was some kind of freight job that I was trying to get where you basically are climbing up and down ladders and stocking items and just, I guess, preparing trucks for when they transport things across state lines. And they wanted to have me bring in for the interview my driver's license or, some form of ID, and then also my social security card. Now, most jobs I've applied for will be satisfied with just a picture of the front of the social security card, right? Because that's the part that says, what your number is, and the one that actually has the information on there. But for some reason, this particular job wanted to see the back of it, which I did not have a photo of. And it's one of those things where it's like it's so oddly specific, because if you can apply for all these other places and they see a photo of the front of it and that's enough, why does this particular job, need to also see the back? Made all the more frustrating by the fact that you're actively encouraged by the Social Security Administration to not bring your Social Security card with you, to just not have it on you, right? It's one of those things you're supposed to just keep at home and put it in some place where it could be considered safe. So the idea of having to go and, dig through wherever the hell it is to take a photo of the back or possibly get another one, it just had me rolling my eyes. And then this new place from yesterday, there's some kind of chauffeur position. And I'm talking to the lady on the phone. She's telling me that because of how the city is, they make it hard for places to give full-time positions, which is hilarious to me because it's like, imagine, I always had this idea that a business which is doing very well for itself, in like a lucrative way, is going to have no problem hiring 5-6 people a year and having them work 40 hours a week. So the idea that your business is not able to sustain having 40-hour a week, employees in the state with the highest number of people and, seemingly potential customers, I think is really hilarious. But while I was talking to her yesterday, she was asking me if I could come in for an interview the next day. This lady calls me at like 4 or 5 p.m., in the afternoon, and then it's talking about meeting at 1 o'clock. So it's like, thanks for the heads up. But she asked me if I can bring my driver's license and a copy of my like traffic record or your record on your license, like basically, if you've had any accidents, etc. And I thought that was so weird because, as far as I can tell, when an employer wants to know, is this person's driving record clean, they can call up the DMV, get the records off of that license number. It just seems really strange that you would have to, go through the hassle of logging into this website or possibly getting it sent in the mail just to bring it in for an interview, just to like have the possibility of being hired, so that they can so that they can know something that they could find out, after hiring you anyway. Like, I probably wouldn't care, again, if it were something that was more, again, like when people say bring your license, I have my license on me at all times, so it's not a big deal to just, okay, here's my license. But who the hell carries around copies of their DMV record? Who goes around with like, oh, here's the record of my infractions, if I got any tickets, if I've been in a serious accident. Who does that? And remember, you're being asked to acquire a copy of it the night before the interview. Like you're called at 5 p.m. Can you come in 1 p.m. tomorrow? By the way, go through the laborious task of going onto the DMV website, signing in, pulling up I guess a PDF file, right? The file that has the stuff on it, I would presume is that, and then you'll have to go to, well, first of all, you have to pay a fee. It's a few dollars, but still, to even get this thing, released to you. But then you also have to go to Staples, or because I don't have a printer, go and print it out as well. Just the whole hassle, right? All these like side steps, just to bring a document for the interview. A document that I need I remind you, when if they were to hire me, they could call up the DMV and get it themselves. But you have to pay the $2, $3, $4, however much bucks to get this thing, to log into this website and get a copy of it, and then be able to bring it to them the next day, just so that they might maybe hire you. It's so lame. And I did like my response to the lady. I was like, hey, so I went on their website and they're talking about I need to verify my account, and they're somehow or another my DMV record is like tied in with somebody else's crap. I could ask them, but I'm not going through all that hassle for a place that could always decide not to hire me. So I said to him, look, I probably won't be able to get it by tomorrow. Should I just not bother showing up for the interview? I like the way that was phrased. Like, should I just not even bother showing up? But yeah, man, it is a real pain in the backside trying to work somewhere. And it's even wilder to think that there's with some of these jobs, they have specific stuff they want that, I know people will often say, oh, when you're desperate, you'll do anything to work somewhere. And I have, worked places where this wasn't my first choice, my fifth choice, my 10th choice. But I don't know, it's almost like when you know that most places will not hire you, like just simply will not, they won't sit you down for an interview. They won't talk to you, when you know that more often than not, you are extremely unlikely to even get picked by this place. It's kind of like it has this weird effect where it's like, I would say, yeah, the juice is not worth the squeeze. If I have to do all of this crap just to go to an interview for a place that is not in all likelihood going to hire me anyway, I just said, the hell with it. If it's just, hey, can you drive over here, just bring this stuff you already have, fine. But if it's something where I have to go through a dragged out process, right, like printing something out or going on this website and paying this fee to get, I would say to hell with it.